It all started the moment the French millionaire walked into the hotel. No one knew who he really was. No one knew the danger he was carrying. And nobody could have guessed that the one person who could change everything would be the maid. You don't understand. If she finds out, everything is over. Everything. But it wasn't until the maid, Zara Johnson, spoke up that the truth started to unravel. Caught between loyalty to her job and the growing suspicion that something dark is unfolding, Zara finds herself standing face to face with a millionaire who's not what he seems. A dangerous secret. A lie that could destroy them both. But in just a few moments, she'll make a choice that will change everything. What would you do if you were in Zara's shoes? Would you stay silent or speak up? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're here, hit that subscribe button to follow the twists and turns of this dangerous game. Also, tell me where you're watching from and what time it is. I love hearing from you. The truth about Lucienne Lefebvre is more complicated than anyone could ever imagine. But when Zara steps into his world, she's about to find out that there are no simple answers. Just a tangled web of lies, betrayal, and a hidden past that no one was ready to face. Lucienne Lefebvre arrived at the hotel that afternoon, carrying with him more than just a well-tailored suit and a reputation. The air in the lobby seemed to shift when he stepped inside. It wasn't his wealth that made people pause, but the tension that radiated from him like an electric charge. He moved through the hotel as though he owned it, but in truth, Lucienne Lefebvre was a man running from something. A man of few words, Lucienne had come to Beverly Hills with a purpose. The hotel staff, accustomed to handling the wealthiest guests, treated him with a practiced deference. But there was something different about him. The way he scanned the room, calculating, almost searching. It was clear. Lucienne Lefebvre was not here for a vacation. Zara Johnson had worked in this hotel for 3 years, watching the parade of the rich and famous. Most were harmless, their extravagance little more than a spectacle. But Lucienne Lefebvre? He was different. She could feel it. There was a storm in his eyes, a quiet intensity that unsettled her. Jason was just one of many staff members who would soon learn that Lucienne Lefebvre wasn't a man who let mistakes slide. But for now, Lucienne's attention was elsewhere. He seemed focused, as though his mind were 1,000 miles away from the luxury of this hotel. He didn't speak to Zara, but his eyes lingered just long enough for her to wonder. Did he see her? Did he see through the uniform, through the smile that had become second nature? Or had he simply noticed another woman in the sea of faces? That night, as Zara returned to her small quarters behind the hotel, she couldn't get Lucienne Lefebvre out of her head. She had met countless wealthy guests during her time here, but none of them left her with the lingering sense of foreboding that Lucienne did. There was a storm coming, she could feel it, but what role would she play in it? The next day, Lucienne would return, and so would Zara, but nothing would be the same. In the span of just one conversation, Zara's world would collide with his, unraveling everything she thought she knew about the world she worked in. But the most dangerous secrets were always hidden in plain sight. And Lucienne Lefebvre? He was about to make Zara a part of his world, whether she liked it or not. Zara Johnson had been a maid at the Beverly Hills Grand for 3 years, but the world she cleaned and polished was a far cry from her own. She had never quite belonged to the wealth and glamour that surrounded her, but she'd learned to navigate it, to disappear into the background and make herself invisible. It was safer that way. It wasn't much, this room, the only space she could call her own during her shifts. But in here, surrounded by cleaning supplies and linen, Zara could breathe. Here, she wasn't invisible. Here, she could think. And today, as she restocks the shelves with fresh towels, her mind can't seem to shake Lucienne Lefebvre. Something about him doesn't sit right. It wasn't that Zara had never seen wealthy men before. This hotel was filled with them, passing through, flaunting their power and opulence. But Lucienne Lefebvre, he was different. She could feel it in the way he moved, the way his eyes darted from corner to corner, always calculating. The weight of his presence was heavy, like a storm cloud gathering above a calm sea. Lucienne's strange behavior wasn't lost on the other staff members either. Whispers followed him wherever he went, rumors about his past, about deals that had gone wrong. Zara heard the gossip in the halls, in the break rooms. Most of it was speculation. Some of it, however, felt too real to ignore. Lena, as always, was cheerful. Too cheerful for Zara's mood. She had grown accustomed to Lena's easy smile, the way she seemed to always find joy in the little things, like folding towels or polishing silverware. "You okay, Zara? You look like you've seen a ghost." "Just tired. It's been a long shift." Lena's concern doesn't go unnoticed, but Zara knows better than to let anyone see too much. She keeps her personal thoughts close to her chest. After all, in a place like this, people's secrets were their currency, and Zara had too many of her own to let anyone pry. "Well, don't work yourself too hard. We're all going to need some energy for tonight's gala. The high rollers are coming in, and you know how that goes. It's all smiles and empty chatter." It wasn't the event that worried Zara. It was the man hosting it. The more she thought about Lucien Lefebvre, the more the feeling that something was wrong gnawed at her. But what could a maid like her do about it? She wasn't a detective. She wasn't even supposed to notice things like that. There was a secret buried beneath Lucien Lefebvre's polished exterior, and it was one that would soon reveal itself, whether Zara was ready for it or not. But she couldn't walk away now. She was already too close. She just didn't know it yet. The grand gala was set to begin in less than an hour, and as always, the hotel staff moved like clockwork, preparing everything for the elite guests who would soon flood through the doors. But Zara wasn't focused on the champagne flutes or the velvet ropes. Her thoughts were on one man, Lucien Lefebvre. Lucien had always known how to blend in, how to disappear into a crowd of powerful people who thought they knew everything. But tonight, that facade was slipping. Tonight, his past was about to catch up with him, and no amount of wealth could protect him from it. For a brief second, their eyes locked. Lucien didn't look at her like the other guests looked at the staff, dismissively, with an air of entitlement. No. His gaze was different. It was as if he saw something in Zara. But what? Was it curiosity? Recognition? Or was it just the inevitable collision of two worlds, one of luxury and privilege, the other of hard work and survival? Zara's pulse quickened, but she didn't allow herself to dwell on it. She had a job to do. She didn't have the luxury of thinking about the way Lucien Lefebvre made her feel. Not here, not in this world. Her job was to stay invisible, to blend in. But just as she was about to disappear into the shadows, a voice stopped her. "Excuse me, miss." Zara froze. She wasn't sure if she should be afraid or flattered. Lucien Lefebvre had just spoken to her, and his voice was not the cold command she expected. It was calm, even soft. He seemed human, despite everything. "Yes, sir?" I need a moment to myself before the event begins. Would you mind? Just for a moment. I'd appreciate some privacy." Zara stood there, unsure of what to say. Her instincts told her to decline. After all, what was a hotel maid supposed to do with a wealthy guest who seemed to be seeking her out? "Of course, Mr. Lefebvre. Follow me." And just like that, Zara found herself walking beside him, her mind racing. What did he want from her? What was this all about? She had no idea. But the closer she got to him, the more she felt like she was stepping into a world she didn't belong to, a world that would change everything. "Thank you, Zara. It's rare that I get any real peace, even for a few minutes. The noise of people, the pressure, it can get overwhelming." But something in Lucien's voice stopped her. There was a heaviness to it that she hadn't expected. For all his wealth, his power, and his cool demeanor, Lucien Lefebvre wasn't just another entitled guest. He was a man burdened by something much darker. "Tell me, Zara, have you ever felt like you're trapped in your own life? Like you're going through the motions, but you don't know how to escape it?" It wasn't a question she expected, but the truth was, Zara had felt that way for as long as she could remember. Stuck in the hotel, stuck in her routine, always invisible, always on the outside looking in. "Yes, I know that feeling." In that moment, something shifted between them. They weren't just the wealthy guest and the maid anymore. They were two people trapped in their own worlds, each searching for something they couldn't articulate. And neither of them knew it yet. But that shared understanding would be the spark that set everything into motion. But as Zara stepped back, unsure of what had just transpired, one thing was clear. This wasn't going to be a simple evening. Lucien Lefebvre had just made her a part of his world, and she would never be the same again. Zara had barely slept the night before. The image of Lucien's stormy eyes haunted her thoughts. Why had he confided in her, of all people? Was he merely a man lost in his own turmoil, or was there something deeper at play? The feeling of unease in her gut had only grown stronger since their brief exchange. Something was happening. She just couldn't yet figure out what. The staff at the Beverly Hills Grand had learned to turn a blind eye to the drama that swirled around the wealthy guests. But even in the background, Zara had always heard the whispers, and today, the whispers were louder than ever. They were all talking about Lucien Lefebvre. You know, I heard that Lucien Lefebvre isn't just some millionaire. He's mixed up in some real shady dealings. I'm talking underground stuff, like blackmail and illegal investments. I heard the same. I overheard some of the managers talking. Apparently he's been running from something. Something big. His family wants him back in France, but he's trying to avoid them. They say he owes people money. Dangerous people. Zara's heart skipped a beat as she listened to the conversation. The rumors about Lucien weren't just idle gossip anymore. They were beginning to feel like a warning. But Zara didn't know what to believe. She had always been taught not to listen to rumors, especially when it came to the wealthy guests who passed through the hotel like they owned it. But with Lucien, something didn't feel right. There was truth to these whispers. Zara could sense it. Lucien Lefebvre stood across the hall, his back to her as he spoke into his phone in hushed tones. His usual cool demeanor had returned, but there was something guarded about him. Zara had learned to read people's body language over the years, and Lucien's posture screamed tension. He wasn't just talking to someone, he was trying to avoid something. Zara didn't know what compelled her to watch him. Maybe it was the way he seemed so untouchable, the way he wore his wealth like armor. Or maybe it was the nagging feeling in her chest. Something wasn't adding up. She had seen millionaires come and go, but Lucien was different. He was a mystery she couldn't ignore. Zara couldn't help but feel a flutter in her stomach as Lucien passed by. Their eyes met again, but this time, there was no questioning glance, only an unspoken understanding. Lucien knew she had seen him, and for reasons Zara couldn't explain. It made her feel both exposed and connected to him. In that fleeting moment, something changed. Zara couldn't quite place it, but she felt as though her world had tilted just slightly off its axis. The way Lucien looked at her, there was something in it, something raw and unspoken. Was it guilt? Regret? Or was it simply the weight of a man trapped by his own choices? Zara's mind raced, but she had no answers. And the more she thought about it, the less she was sure of. One thing, however, was certain. She was no longer just a maid in the background of this hotel. She was being drawn into something she didn't understand, something far more dangerous than the rumors could tell. But it was too late to turn back now. Lucien Lefebvre had walked into Zara's life like a storm, and no matter how hard she tried to ignore it, the storm was only just beginning. The grand gala had finally arrived. The Beverly Hills Grand was at the peak of its social calendar, and the high society of Los Angeles had turned out in force. It was a night for the elite to show off, to flaunt their power and their wealth. But for Zara, tonight was different. Tonight, she wasn't just a maid. Tonight, she was caught between worlds, one she understood, and one that was far beyond her reach. Zara's mind wasn't on the sparkling crystal glasses or the lavish decorations. It was on Lucien. Since their brief encounter, she hadn't been able to shake the feeling that he was more than just a rich man with a cold demeanor. There was something else about him, something hidden in the way he looked at her, something that spoke of secrets and danger. Tonight, the truth was going to unravel. She could feel it in the air. Lucien Lefebvre, standing tall in the middle of it all, looked every bit the millionaire. His elegance, his wealth, his aura of power, it was all perfectly crafted. But Zara knew better. Beneath that cool exterior, beneath the wealth and the designer suits, there was something darker lurking in his eyes. The woman beside him was no stranger to the social scene. Her name was Penelope West, a woman whose beauty was only rivaled by her reputation. She was a socialite, a businesswoman, and someone who could make or break careers with a single glance. And judging by the way Lucienne was standing next to her, rigid, tense, it was clear their relationship was far from cordial. Zara had seen enough. There was something happening between Lucienne and Penelope that didn't sit right. The way Penelope spoke to him, the way Lucien seemed desperate to get away. It wasn't just an argument. It was a power struggle, a game of control and submission, and Zara had no idea what role she was about to play in it. Despite the distance between them, there was an unspoken connection. Zara felt it, Lucien felt it, but neither of them knew what it meant. The night was slipping by, and soon enough, the true reason for the gala would come to light, and Zara, who had always kept to the edges, was about to be thrust into the center of it all. Did you hear? Lucien's family is pressuring him again. They want him back in Paris, no questions asked. But Lucien, he's not going anywhere. Not after what happened. They say he's in too deep. Money laundering, illegal investments, you name it. But no one knows the full story. Not even Penelope, though she's tied up in it somehow. Lucien's been running from something for years, and it looks like it's finally catching up with him. Zara's blood ran cold. Money laundering? Illegal investments? These weren't just rumors. They were pieces of a puzzle she had been too afraid to put together. The man she'd been drawn to, the man who had somehow made her feel seen, was tangled in something far beyond her reach, something dangerous. And now, she was right in the middle of it. She had always known that the world of the rich and powerful was a dangerous game, but she never thought she'd be playing in it. Zara had walked into the hotel as a maid, someone who knew her place. But after tonight, after the gala, she wasn't sure where her place was anymore. Lucien Lefebvre had changed everything, and now, nothing would ever be the same. The night was far from over, and neither Zara nor Lucien knew it yet, but they were about to be caught in a storm, one that would tear through their lives and change everything in its path. The truth would soon come to light, but would either of them be ready for it? In the world of the rich, secrets were the most valuable currency, and Lucien Lefebvre was rich with them. But tonight, Zara would learn that some secrets, no matter how carefully hidden, are never meant to stay buried. The night had come and gone, but Zara couldn't shake the feeling that something significant had just unfolded. Lucien Lefebvre had been everywhere during the gala, his presence almost commanding. Yet, as the night wound down, there had been moments when his usual air of control had faltered. Zara had seen the cracks in his armor, and for the first time, she wondered if maybe, just maybe, there was more to him than the cold, distant millionaire who wandered the halls like a shadow. The Lefebvre situation is getting complicated. We've been instructed to ensure everything runs smoothly for him, but we need to stay out of his way. No one is to ask him about anything beyond the event. Understand? Of course, sir. But are we sure he's safe here? There's talk of things, dangerous things, following him. Do we have security on alert? Zara stops in her tracks, her breath catching in her throat. Dangerous things. What were they talking about? For the first time it dawns on her. Lucien Lefebvre wasn't just a man running from his family's expectations. He was running from something far worse. Something that had followed him all the way to Beverly Hills, and she was getting too close to the heart of it. Lucien's presence in the hallway was unexpected. He stood still, like a statue, his face shadowed by the hallway's low light. Zara's heart skips a beat as she freezes in place, unsure of what to do. Was he looking for her? Or was it just coincidence? I didn't expect to see you here, Zara. I didn't expect to be here either, Mr. Lefebvre. Call me Lucien, and please, don't mind me. I just wanted to thank you for earlier. You saw something in me tonight, didn't you? The way I looked at you. It wasn't just gratitude. It was something else. You felt it too, didn't you? Zara's heart pounds in her chest as she stands frozen in front of him. The words she's heard, the rumors, the warnings, flash through her mind. She should step back. She should walk away. But Lucien's eyes pull her in like a magnet. She feels it now, the weight of the unspoken tension between them, the rawness in his gaze. What are you talking about, Mr. Lucien? I don't know how to explain this, but I'm not the man I've been pretending to be. The things you heard tonight, about my family, the blackmail, the money, none of it is what it seems. I've been running for years, Zara. Running from the life I was supposed to have. Running from who I really am. Lucienne's confession hung in the air, and Zara felt the floor beneath her shift. The secrets she had sensed, the ones she had only dared to imagine, were beginning to take shape. This wasn't just a man hiding from his past. This was someone on the run from forces far more powerful than she could ever comprehend. I don't expect you to trust me, Zara, but I need your help. You've already seen too much. I can't let you walk away from this. Not now. I know you're scared, and I don't blame you. But please, don't turn away. For a moment, Zara's mind races, her body frozen in place. Everything she thought she knew about Lucienne Lefebvre, about this hotel, about her life, is being upended in the span of a few words. She can feel the weight of the decision pressing down on her. Should she walk away? Should she stay? In that moment, she knows there's no going back. She's already too deep. What do you need from me? And just like that, Zara Johnson was no longer just a maid in the background. She had stepped into the storm. And with it, her life would never be the same again. The secret was out. And with it, the stakes had risen higher than either of them could have imagined. But this was only the beginning. Lucien and Zara were now part of a game that neither could escape. And soon, the real danger would come for them both. Zara had been working at the Beverly Hills Grand for years, long enough to understand how to navigate the quiet world of hotel staff. But this world, Lucienne's world, with its secrets, its lies, its danger, was something new, something she had never been prepared for. And now, she couldn't ignore it. She couldn't walk away. Tina, I need to tell you something. What's going on? You've been quiet all morning. Is everything okay? Zara hesitated, her words heavy in her throat. How could she explain what had happened? How could she tell Tina that she had become entangled in something so much bigger than herself, something dangerous? But as she looked at her friend, she knew there was no turning back. It's about Lucienne Lefebvre. I don't know how to say this, but there's more to him than we think. He's not just some rich guy passing through. He's hiding something. Something serious. And now, I'm involved. Wait, what? Zara, are you sure? Lucienne Lefebvre? That man is untouchable. He's not someone we should be getting involved with. What are you talking about? Zara's mind raced as she tried to explain. The words felt like they were tangled in her chest, each one heavier than the last. How could she convey the weight of everything she'd learned in a few short hours? How could she tell Tina about the blackmail, the illegal dealings, the dangers that were closing in on her? I overheard some of the staff talking. They're saying that Lucienne's in deep with dangerous people, people who don't care about money. They care about power. And I'm sure he's hiding from them. He's running, Tina. And I think he wants my help. You? Help him? Zara, he's a millionaire. You're a maid. What could he possibly want from you? This is all way over your head. You need to stay away from him before you get in too deep. But Zara knew better. She had already seen too much. She couldn't ignore the way Lucienne's eyes had looked at her. The raw emotion, the unspoken plea. She couldn't pretend it wasn't happening, couldn't ignore the pull that had already begun to drag her into his world. I can't just ignore this, Tina. He asked for my help, and I don't know what to do, Tina. I'm scared. But I can't walk away. Not now. Something's going on. And I can feel it in my bones. I don't think I can just let it go. Zara, I get it. I really do. You've always been the one to stand up for others. But this is different. Lucienne Lefebvre is playing a game that we can't even begin to understand. If you get involved, you're going to lose. I don't want to see you get hurt. Zara's heart ached as Tina spoke. Her friend was right. Lucienne's world wasn't hers. It wasn't a place she was supposed to step into. But Zara had already stepped over that line, and there was no going back now. She was in too deep, and Lucienne's secret had already tangled her in its web. I know. But I can't just walk away from this. He needs help, Tina. And maybe I can help him. Just be careful, okay? I don't want to see you get caught up in something you can't escape from. Zara nodded. But her mind was already 1,000 miles away, on the man she couldn't stop thinking about, Lucien Lefebvre. She didn't know where this path would lead, but she knew one thing for sure. She couldn't turn back. Not now. Not when the storm was closing in. Zara had crossed a line. The storm was coming, and there was no telling who would get caught in its path. But one thing was certain. Lucien Lefebvre's world was about to collide with hers in ways she never could have imagined. Zara had never been one to shy away from confrontation. But this was different. Lucien Lefebvre wasn't just another rich guest she could ignore. He had become something else in her life, something she couldn't quite define. And now, standing in the dimly lit hallway, Zara knew she couldn't walk away. Not when the truth was so close. Not when Lucien's plea for help echoed in her mind. There were too many questions, too many pieces of the puzzle left unsolved. Lucien had trusted her enough to confess to something dark, something dangerous. And Zara knew, deep down, that if she walked away now, she would never be able to forgive herself. Zara raised her hand, knocking gently at the door. She didn't know what to expect, didn't know if Lucien would even answer. But she couldn't go back now, not after everything that had happened. Zara, I didn't expect to see you again so soon. I need to know the truth, Lucien. You told me you were running from something, but you didn't say what. You can't just drop a bomb like that and expect me to walk away. The words tumbled out before Zara could stop them, the rawness of her own emotions spilling into the room. She had thought about this moment all day, tried to prepare herself for whatever answer Lucien might give. But now that she was standing here facing him, she realized how unprepared she really was. I don't want you to get involved, Zara. It's not safe for you. It's dangerous. And if you stay, you'll be in more danger than you realize. I'm already involved, Lucien. I know you don't want me here, but I can't ignore this. Not after everything I've heard. Not after you. After you trusted me. You can't just push me away now. I'm not the man you think I am, Zara. I've made deals with people who don't play by the rules. People who don't care about money. They care about power, and they'll stop at nothing to get it. I've been running from them for years, hiding in plain sight. And I've hurt people along the way. His words hit Zara like a punch to the gut. She had expected secrets, but this was something else. Something dark. And as Lucien stood there, looking out at the lights of Beverly Hills, Zara saw a man who had been worn down by his own choices. He wasn't just running from danger. He was running from himself. Why didn't you tell me all of this before, Lucien? Why keep me in the dark? I never meant for you to get caught up in this, Zara. You're a maid. You shouldn't have to deal with any of this. I didn't want to drag you into my mess. But now I'm not sure how to get out of it. I need your help. For the first time, Zara saw the full picture. Lucien wasn't just a man with too many secrets. He was a man who was broken by his own choices. And in that moment, Zara knew she couldn't walk away. She couldn't leave him in the mess he had created. She wasn't that kind of person. I'll help you, Lucien. But we do this on my terms. You can't control this anymore. You can't run from it. We face it together. You don't know what you're getting into, but thank you. You don't know how much this means to me. In that moment, Zara knew that whatever came next, she had already stepped into a world from which there was no return. But she didn't care. Lucien needed her, and for the first time in a long time, Zara felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. And so, the first chapter of their story began, a story of secrets, of danger, of choices that couldn't be undone. Together, they would face the storm that was coming. But would they survive it? That, only time would tell. The scene opens with Zara and Lucien sitting in the quiet of his hotel suite, the city lights casting long shadows across the room. Lucien is pacing, his hands running through his hair as he explains more about the web of deceit he's tangled in. Zara listens closely, absorbing the weight of his words, trying to keep the fear and uncertainty from overtaking her. The truth had been harder to swallow than Zara had expected. Lucien was more than just a man on the run. He was caught in a labyrinth of lies, threats, and blackmail. Every word he spoke seemed to drag her deeper into the darkness of his world, and despite the fear that crept into her chest, she knew she had made her choice. She was in this now, whether she liked it or not. The blackmail started a year ago. At least that's when I found out. They're using my family's company against me. They know everything, every deal, every mistake I made. Penelope. She's the one who started it all. Penelope? But I thought she was just some socialite. I didn't think she had anything to do with this. She's more than she seems, Zara. She's been in this game for years, moving behind the scenes. I never saw it coming. She's the one who's been pulling the strings, pushing me to take bigger risks. But I never knew just how deep it went until it was too late. Zara tried to piece the information together. Lucien's words didn't make sense at first, but as the pieces began to fall into place, a clearer picture emerged. Penelope wasn't just a woman scorned. She was a player in a much darker game, one that Lucien had no control over. These documents, they're blackmail material. You're being threatened with your own company. This is more than just money. This is about control. Exactly. If I don't comply, they'll ruin everything I've built. They'll take down my family's business, destroy the reputation I've spent years building. And the worst part? I'm being forced to play along, or they'll release everything. They know all my secrets, Zara. As the weight of Lucien's predicament sank in, Zara felt a pang of sympathy for him. But the truth was undeniable. He was trapped, and the forces controlling him were far more dangerous than she had imagined. What was once a vague feeling of danger now felt like an impending storm, one that could destroy them both if they weren't careful. So, what now? What do we do about it? I don't know. I've been trying to figure it out on my own, but it's impossible. I need help. Zara, I need someone who can see things from the outside, someone who isn't tangled in all of this. That's why I came to you. I've been fighting this battle alone for too long, but I can't keep doing it. Zara felt the weight of his words. He was asking her to help him face an enemy she couldn't even see. He was asking her to step into a world of darkness and danger, a world she had no idea how to navigate. But the look in his eyes, the vulnerability she hadn't seen before, told her all she needed to know. He wasn't just asking for her help. He was trusting her with his life. Okay, we'll figure this out. Together. But you have to trust me, Lucien. I can't help you if you keep shutting me out. We have to do this right. No more running. I'll trust you, Zara. I don't know what the future holds, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm not alone in this. In that moment, something shifted between them. It wasn't just the mutual need to solve a problem. It was something deeper, something neither of them had expected, but both of them had been waiting for. Lucien had been trapped in his own life, a prisoner of his choices, but with Zara by his side, he was finally able to see a way out. The blackmail was just the beginning. There were darker forces at play, forces that neither Lucien nor Zara fully understood yet. But they had a plan now, a starting point. And as the night fell over Beverly Hills, the storm that had been gathering finally began to break. The game had changed, and the rules, well, they were just about to be rewritten. Zara had always been able to compartmentalize her life, keeping her job, her dreams, her fears neatly tucked away. But Lucien had shattered that illusion. The man who once seemed so distant, so out of reach, had dragged her into his world, and now there was no going back. Each piece of the puzzle had been placed carefully in front of her, but as the days passed, the picture it created only grew darker. We need to meet. I have new information. It's time to face Penelope. The storm was finally breaking, and Zara knew she had to face the consequences of her choices. Lucien had given her the pieces, but now, it was time to put everything together. Penelope had played her cards well, but the time for games was over. And Zara? She was ready to face whatever came next. We don't have much time. Penelope is more dangerous than I ever realized. She's been watching us, and she's got backup. We need to act fast. The gravity of Lucien's words hit Zara like a cold wave. This isn't just about blackmail or corporate sabotage anymore. Penelope isn't just a businesswoman. She's a threat. And Lucien's family, his entire future, is tied to her. Zara has always believed in fighting for what's right, But this is a battle she's never been prepared for. What's the plan? How do we end this? We take her down, together. We expose everything. Her ties to the underground networks, the money laundering, the people she's working with. I've gathered everything I can, but it's not enough. We need proof that will bring her down for good. In that moment, Zara realized just how much she had changed. She wasn't the maid who had cleaned the floors of the Beverly Hills Grand anymore. She was an ally, a partner in this dangerous game. Lucien needed her. And in turn, she had come to need him too. The line between right and wrong had blurred. All that mattered now was the truth, and the cost of uncovering it. Penelope West, the woman who had started all of this, the woman who had pulled the strings, manipulated Lucien, and created a world of lies. She stood before them now, her eyes gleaming with the arrogance that only power could provide. Well, well, if it isn't the elusive Mr. Lefebvre and his little maid, you've been causing quite the stir, haven't you? This ends tonight, Penelope. We have everything. The blackmail, the money laundering, the illegal dealings. You're done. You think you have everything, Lucien? You're so naive. I've been playing you both from the start. You're in way over your head. And as for you, Zara, you're just a pawn in a game you don't understand. Penelope's words cut deep, but Zara doesn't flinch. She's heard the threat before. She's been living in the shadows of this dangerous world for too long to be intimidated by empty words. What Penelope doesn't realize is that Zara isn't afraid anymore. You think we're scared of you? You've underestimated both of us. You're not the one in control anymore. We have everything we need to take you down. The stakes had never been higher. Lucien and Zara stood on the edge of a precipice, staring down the woman who had orchestrated their torment. But this time, the game was different. They weren't running anymore. They were fighting back. You think you can destroy me? You've already lost. But you can't stop what's coming next. I always win. It was a warning, and Penelope knew it. The game had shifted, and this time it wasn't just about power. It was about survival. Get in the car. Now. The stakes were no longer just about blackmail. They were fighting for their lives. And as they raced toward the car, Zara knew one thing for certain. The storm they had been running from had finally arrived, and it wasn't going to let them go without a fight. In that brief, heart-stopping moment, Lucien and Zara had realized something none of them had prepared for. Penelope was no longer just an enemy. She was a threat, a calculated, dangerous force willing to do whatever it took to maintain control. And now, Zara and Lucien were caught in the crossfire. Lucien, what's going on? Why are we running? You said we had everything we needed to take her down, but that crash, what was that about? We did have everything. Or we thought we did. But Penelope's not working alone, Zara. There are bigger players involved in this mess than we realized. Zara's heart skipped a beat. She had suspected that Penelope's reach went beyond what was visible, but hearing Lucien say it made the truth hit harder than she had expected. There were other people, powerful people, and they were willing to use any means necessary to get what they wanted. So this isn't just about you and Penelope. This is bigger, much bigger. Exactly. It's about money, power, and control. Penelope's just a pawn in the game. The people she works for are untouchable, dangerous. They've been in the background of everything I've done. I thought I could handle it. But now, the realization hit Zara like a cold slap. Lucien wasn't just running from his family or Penelope's manipulation. He was running from something far more dangerous, a web of criminal influence so vast, it threatened to swallow everything in its path. And Zara? She was in the center of it now, her life tied to Lucien's in ways she couldn't untangle. We need to lay low for a while. Penelope won't stop until she has me in her grasp, but now they know about you too. They'll come after you, Zara. I can't let that happen. Zara doesn't speak immediately, her mind racing. She hadn't signed up for this. She hadn't expected to be thrust into a world of shadows and deceit. But there was no turning back now. Lucien had dragged her into his chaos, and now they were in it together. You don't get to decide that, Lucien. You don't get to push me away just because you think you're protecting me. I'm here because I chose to be. If they're coming for me, they're coming for both of us. I don't want to put you in danger, Zara. You mean more to me than I can explain. But I can't ask you to stay in this. It's too dangerous. Zara felt a pang of something deep inside her. She had never been the type to back down, never been the type to run from danger. But hearing Lucien's confession, his raw honesty, made her pause. He cared for her. She could feel it in his words. But in this world of power and betrayal, could love really protect them? Lucien, you're not alone in this. We fight together, or we don't fight at all. If we're going to survive this, we do it as a team. Okay, we do it together. But we need to move quickly. They'll come for us, Zara. I don't know how much longer we have before they close in. The moment of clarity between them was brief, but it was enough. Lucien knew Zara wasn't going anywhere, and for the first time in weeks, he didn't feel so alone. But the danger was closing in on them fast. Penelope wasn't their only threat, and the people behind her were far more ruthless than either of them could have anticipated. They were in the heart of it now. The game had gone from a battle of wits to a battle for survival, and there was no turning back. Zara had chosen her side, and with Lucien by her side, she would fight until the very end. The storm was about to break, but would Lucien and Zara survive the fury that was coming their way? Or would the web of lies and betrayal swallow them whole? Zara had never been one to shy away from danger, but the truth of their situation was becoming clearer with each passing minute. They were no longer just trying to survive the night. They were fighting to stay alive in a world that was closing in on them, fast. Lucien had given her the choice to back out, but now, with every passing hour, there was no turning back. I've been running for so long, Zara. I thought I could handle it on my own. I thought I could keep everyone out of this mess. But now you're not alone anymore. We're in this together, Lucien. You said you couldn't do it alone. You don't have to. Zara's words hung in the air, solid and unwavering. She had chosen to stay by his side, but it wasn't just about him anymore. This was about them, together. Whatever happened next, they would face it as a team. I never meant for you to get dragged into this. You should be safe, out there, somewhere else. You didn't sign up for this kind of life. I signed up the moment I chose to stay. Don't you get it? I'm not just some bystander in this. I'm here because I want to be here. This is the fight I've chosen. I've never been the type to run. And if we're going to face whatever comes next, I need you to know I'm not backing down. You're not alone in this. It was a moment of clarity. The storm that had been raging inside her, the quiet fear that had been eating away at her, seemed to dissipate. Lucien had trusted her with his secrets. Now, she was ready to trust herself. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about making a choice, a decision to fight for what mattered. I never thought you'd be this strong, Zara. I've been lost in my own world for so long. But with you here, I feel like I might just have a chance at redemption. In the quiet of that abandoned building, as the night stretched on, they made their decision. There was no more running, no more hiding. Lucien and Zara were going to face the darkness head-on. They would fight together, and they would fight until the end. The storm was here. The forces that had been chasing them for so long were finally closing in. But for the first time, Lucien and Zara weren't running. They were standing their ground. The final confrontation was upon them. The endgame had begun. It was no longer about surviving the night. It was about standing up for what was right, for what they believed in. The storm had come, and with it, the test of who they truly were. The final pieces were in place. Lucien and Zara had spent days running, hiding, gathering every shred of information they could find. Now, as the dawn broke, they were ready to face the people who had controlled their fates for far too long. This was no longer about survival. It was about justice. It was about reclaiming their lives from the shadows. We do this now, Zara. We go to the authorities. We expose everything we've learned. The blackmail, the illegal operations, the connections. Penelope won't win this time. We're doing the right thing. But I need you to stay focused, Lucien. This isn't over until we're out of here, and I'm not going to let you fall apart now. Zara had found a strength in herself she didn't know existed. She wasn't just the maid anymore. She was the hero in her own story, strong, determined, and unafraid to stand up to the darkness. And with Lucienne at her side, they had become a force to be reckoned with. The streets felt different now, each turn they took feeling like the final step toward freedom. But there was no turning back. The storm had been unleashed, and there was no way to stop it. Can I help you? I need to speak with Detective Ryan Harris. It's about a criminal conspiracy, blackmail, money laundering, and illegal operations. We have all the evidence you need. Lucienne's words rang out in the sterile, quiet lobby. And in that moment, Zara could feel the weight of what they were about to do. It wasn't just about taking down Penelope anymore. It was about holding the system accountable. It was about giving voice to the voiceless, about making sure the truth was heard. You're the ones with the evidence? Yes, we've been collecting it for weeks. Penelope West is the key player in a much larger operation, and the people behind her will stop at nothing to keep their crimes covered up. But we can't do it alone. The weight of the moment hit them both. This was it, the final step toward freeing themselves from the chains that had bound them for so long. The decision to stand up and speak the truth wasn't easy, but it was the only choice they had left. We can't let her get away with it, not this time. You've done the right thing coming here. We'll make sure this goes through, but you need to stay out of sight for a while. It's going to get messy. Zara and Lucienne exchanged a glance. They knew it wasn't over yet, but for the first time, they felt the hope of victory flicker on the horizon. Penelope's empire of lies was about to crumble, and with it, the hold she had over them both. Zara had walked into Lucienne's world not knowing where it would lead. But now, as the sun rose over the city, she could see the light at the end of the tunnel. The truth was out, and with it, they had finally reclaimed their freedom. The storm had broken, but the fight had only just begun. Together, they would face whatever came next, and no matter how dark it seemed, they would never be alone again.